back to the channel. So I hope you had an awesome Christmas and a very happy new year. We have made it past the holiday season, obviously, and today we're just kind of keeping things a little bit relaxed after the holidays. We're still probably in that post-holiday recovery. So we've pulled out some leftover soup, and we don't have any fresh bread that I have pre-done ahead of time. So what we're gonna do is a soda bread, and I love a good old-fashioned Irish soda bread, basically because it is a nice boulet type of a loaf that is easy for beginners, easy for those who are experienced, and for those who just have busy lifestyles. Because as much as I do love sourdough and having a nice sourdough loaf, sometimes sourdough can be a little bit impractical for me personally. Now, the bonus of the Irish soda bread is this. If you don't have yeast in your house either, because you're not normally a bread baker, you don't have to worry about it because there's absolutely no yeast in this. So also, if you are trying to do kind of a yeast cleanse, this is also going to be a good loaf to have on hand. Now, typically, the Irish usually put a raisin in there. We're not going to put raisins in it this time because we're going to be using it in a savory method instead of having it with our afternoon tea. But let me show you the ingredients and what you're going to need to get your loaf going here. So in this bowl, I have 3 cups of flour. For those of you who are wondering, we use Wheat Montana all-purpose flour. You don't have to use this brand. This is just what we use. It's kosher, non-GMO. Here in the States, we get consistent, good results from all of our baked goods with this flour. Now, the recipe ranges 3 to 3.5 cups of flour. So the reason that I've only put 3 cups of flour in our bowl in this instance is we have been humid because we have weather moving in. It's supposed to be rainy and gloomy and everything, so our humidity is high. And I want to make sure that I don't have too little flour, and I don't want to have too much flour. So this is the part of the program where it's just going to take a little bit of time for you to get the hang of the texture of the bread. But we're going to try and show you throughout this video what the texture should be, because if you know what the texture should look like, you'll be able to have an easier time doing this yourself at home. So to this, we are going to add 2 teaspoons of what I have here is a pink Himalayan salt. You can use whatever you have on hand. I will caution you that if you have a Celtic sea salt tends to be a bit saltier in flavor. So you may want to only do a teaspoon as opposed to 2 teaspoons. And this is the part that you can play with and adapt to your tastes and preferences, because not everybody likes the same level of salt. So if you like less salt, only put a teaspoon in. You like having a little bit more salt, go on ahead and put the 2 teaspoons in. All right, so obviously now what makes soda bread is baking soda. We're going to do a teaspoon here. And you can easily double this recipe to make a larger loaf. Especially if you have more people in your family. This size would be dinner for Mama and I. If you've got obviously more people gathered around your table, you are going to want to do the larger option and double this. All right. So we've got that here. Now this next part is also slightly adaptable. If you only have sweet milk in your house, and what is sweet milk? Sweet milk is just your regular milk that you buy and put on your cereal for breakfast. So if that's what you have in your house and you do not keep buttermilk, don't feel bad, neither do I. You have one of 2 options. You can go on ahead and add in a tablespoon of lemon juice to the milk. This will give you that buttermilk effect. Or you can kind of do what I'm doing, and I'm cheating, and I'm actually going to be using goat's milk. So it's got a little bit of a sour note. Would that be a good way to describe it? Yeah, kind of sour. Okay, so it's got a little bit of a tang, sour note to it, like buttermilk has. And it's also naturally A2A2. So if you have anybody who has issues with digesting any type of dairy in your home, this just makes it gentler on their stomach and more easily digestible. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on ahead. We've got our handy dandy little spurtle here. And we are going to add in our goat's milk. And that's 1.5 cups of goat's milk, or 1.5 cups of buttermilk. Now, as this is coming together, I do love having a spurtle for bread baking, guys. Just makes it so much easier. Okay, so as you can see here, we may not need that 1/2 cup of flour, because even though the air is really, really moist, this dough, the flour part, is not staying overly sticky. Now, the one thing that I will say for beginning bread bakers is there's really no substitute for a handmade loaf of bread. Even if you do a yeast bread and you're not doing sourdoughs, if you're doing a soda bread such as this, there's nothing quite like having your hands in the dough. It adds resistance to the dough, which is where you get a nice crust, number one. Helps the gluten to develop and break down better. Don't ask me why. There's science that kind of backs that a bit too. And it just has a better and richer flavor than bread that's made in a machine. All right, so I've got a little bit of bread there. All right, so now for the fun part. And you may need to knead this for about 5 minutes. This recipe is a very quick recipe. So all total 45 minutes. For a loaf of bread, that's pretty darn good. It's about 15 minutes total to put the ingredients together. And I am going to go on ahead and add a little bit of flour on here. You can see that I've still got some dough sticking. We don't want the loaf to be sticky. We want a nice, smooth, creamy dough. So we're not there as far as flour level yet, but that's why we set aside that 1/2 cup of flour. And that's why we are hand kneading. Now this bread will not go through a rise time either, which is why it only takes 45 minutes from start to finish. Probably even less time for the Irish grandmas who've been doing this all of their lives. They can probably get the dough and everything together in less than 10 minutes and into the oven. But see, we've still got some stick happening. We're not quite there yet. And you can see it's still not quite come together fully. right, we're getting closer. I may be adding a shy tablespoon of this at a time. Okay? Not adding that much into the dough. But we're not sticking to our counter. We're not getting the flaky separation. It's starting to hold a shape. Still a little bit. I'm going to do that. Not a whole lot more. And you can see too, it's no longer glopping on my hands like it was. Okay, see it's starting to smooth out. See how that's happening? Touch more. And I'm developing more resistance in the dough. This is a dough that's going to hold its shape. Going to start shaping. I'm just going to go with a good old-fashioned round loaf here. Going to make sure that bottom is all nice and tucked. Okay. All right, so now all we're going to do is we're going to put it on a baking sheet, which we've got right here. I'm going to go real simple. Don't forget to put your score marks on here, and you can get as creative with this as you see fit, guys. I'm just going really old school. This helps the steam escape, so you don't want to forget to do this. But we'll just do a typical boule loaf score. And currently our oven is heating up to 425 degrees. We will be putting this in for about 35 minutes until it's a nice golden brown. A good rule of thumb, if you have a oven that needs some calibration or is hotter or cooler than normal, you can take your nail and just thunk the top. I'll do that later so you can kind of, hopefully the sound will come through. But there's sort of a hollow sound that you will hear when the bread is ready to come out of the oven. All right, so now it's just a little bit of a waiting game, okay? We'll see you back when we need to pop this guy into the oven. All right, we are officially preheated to 425 degrees. Now, I will go on ahead and put this disclaimer out. I am going to put this loaf in for only 30 minutes because this is a whole new oven, range, everything for us, so we are still getting used to how it is cooking inside. For the most part, it has been spot on, but I just want to make sure that I don't burn my loaf, especially if I get occupied doing something else here in the house, which is likely to happen. So I'm just going to play it safe. You may want to do the same, but plan for 35 minutes in cook time. Rack set in the middle of the oven, by the way, just so you know. And that's it. So we will see you back here in 30 minutes. Okay guys, so it's been 30 minutes at this point, and our loaf looks fairly golden brown. So what I want to do is I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to pull it out here, and I'm going to do the thunk test. Now, fingers crossed that it will come through and translate on our microphone here. I don't know if it will, but if you ever want to know what it sounds like, just go to a Whole Foods or something and get a loaf of bread and then thunk it, and you'll understand what I mean by the sound. Once you know the sound, you'll know when your bread is done. Oh yeah, that's done. Okay, let's try it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And the outside is nice and crispy. I probably scored it a little bit too deeply, so we've got some definite homey loaf look going on, but frankly, I'm fine with it. I'm not going to get upset by how a homemade bread loaf looks, because we're going to dive into this pretty quickly. Now, most bakers, most professional bread people will tell you you need to let it sit for at least a half hour. If that happens in your home, I'm gonna say that's impressive. It doesn't happen in ours. You do you, boo. So we're probably going to be cutting into this within 15 minutes here, and we'll show you what it looks like on the inside, okay? Alright guys, so we're going to go on ahead, and we have just a rustic kind of Italian soup that we are warming up, and we're going to go on ahead and break into our loaf here. As you can see, we've got a nice crumb here. Alright, let's see what it tastes like. It's not too salty.
Feed the camera, woman.
Oh. Oops.
Thank you.
Welcome. It's not too salty.
It's good.
Outer texture. Got a nice crisp crust on here. You can see it's nice and flaky. I'm feeding the dog. Good thing it's organic. So, very nice bread. Would be excellent to add raisins into and kind of do a play on sweet and savory. Really nice. I'm very, very happy with this. So we're going to go on ahead. We're going to get our soup dish up and have some dinner. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you on the next one. As always, keep it simple, natural, and essential.
Like, share, subscribe.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.